When you start using Racelab, the first thing you need to know is how to open an overlay. And in this video we're going to cover this topic. There are some must-knows that you need to know, otherwise it might not work or it might not work properly. And there are other things that are just useful to know and it's beneficial for you to know. So let's have a look at it. Before you open any overlays, you need to make sure that your system and iracing is compatible with Racelab. So here is the thing you need to do. You need to open your iracing. Let me show you my iracing window. You need to go to the options panel and you need to go to graphics tab. Here you need to set two things. One is max cars. You need to set this from 20 to 63. A short explanation is this is for how many cars you get information for. In iracing this is set to 20 for some reason, but you need to set this to 63. It does not have any effect on your video card. It will not load more cars on the track at a given time. This is just purely about data. So this max cars needs to be set to 63. And the other thing you need to do is the full screen. I think it's by default is like this. The full screen needs to be ticked out, and also the border needs to be ticked out. So full screen and border should not be selected. Okay, you click on OK, and that's all about what you need to do in iracing. And by the way, iracing will not run now in a bordered window. It's not what it is. If you take the full screen checkbox out and the border checkbox out, your iracing will look exactly the same like when it was running in full screen. You won't be able to tell the difference by just looking at it, but the app really needs these settings in order to work properly. There's one last step that you might need to do. It's optional. In my experience, people who have an old iracing account, sort of 4 or 5 years old iracing account, they must do this. It's about the bandwidth of your iracing client. For some reason, iracing limits the bandwidth of your iracing client, which is never a good idea, but it's there. And the only way to change that is the iracing webpage. So let me show you how I do it. Let me show you guys my screen. I'm going to open up iracing webpage. So you need to be logged in. You need to click on then your account from the main screen. And then when you click on the account, it will bring you to this page where you have all the details of your account. You need to scroll down up until the preferences section, and then the connection type here is what's the important thing. You need to set this to 1 megabit per sec, so the last option. Usually it's set to 128 or 256 for guys with the older account. But just to make sure you can check it out, set to 1 megabit per sec and everything will be just fine. Click on save and off you go. So we're back in the app. We made sure that we are compatible with iracing, so iracing and Racelab are compatible with each other, and we just joined to a practice session. Make sure that you are running iracing, otherwise you won't see any overlays you open. Okay, so if there is nothing around you, if you are not in iracing in a session, the overlays will not show because there's nothing to show. So we are in an iracing session. I am sitting in a car in a pit and ready to open the overlay. So all you need to do is you go to the overlays menu. I chose relative to show, and then there is a button that says overlay, open in overlay mode. So when I click on the button, the overlay immediately show up on the top left of my screen. And then at this moment, let me grab this window away a bit. At this moment, I am able to just click on this overlay with the left mouse button and hold it down, and then I'm able to drag it anywhere I want. You see? I'm gonna just leave it, let's say, right here. And if I go back to the app, I want to show you something important. As we can see, we have the overlay open. It's on top of everything we have in Windows. So it's on top of the iracing window. It's even on top of the Racelab app. So one important thing to show is, actually let me move it to the right side, to the left side, it might be easier. I'm moving the overlay to the right. Because there's an important thing I wanna demonstrate. This small lock icon on the right makes sure that the overlays are either locked down or it's unlocked. Right now we are in an unlocked state. I can drag this overlay around my screen and I can move it wherever I want to. So what does a locked status mean? A locked status means if I click on the lock button, it changes its state so we can see that it's locked down. It means that even if I click on this overlay, I'm clicking and trying to move it, I just cannot. Because it's locked down in one position and it won't move unless you unlock it again. And this is a very handy feature because here is a problem that you might have if you don't lock your overlays. So I'm gonna click on the lock icon again, so I'm unlocked this overlay. And if I go back to the garage, then I might want to click on the quit button or options or garage, and when I click, nothing happens. See? It's because the overlay is on top of this window, so I cannot click through it. And all I could do is move away and then click on options or quit. But obviously that is not the preferred way to do. So what the solution is to lock the overlay, and then I'm able to click on any button behind it. You see? Garage, options, and anything. And I can move the overlay. It needs to be unlocked if you want to move it. Let's talk about the lock mode a little bit more. Lock mode is a global state that you can set in the app. You either lock everything or you lock nothing. If I go to the standings, for example, I can see that the lock button is still shows as it's locked, although I don't have the standings on the screen yet. But if I click on it, then it does show up and I cannot move it, as you can see. So this is a global state that you can toggle, and you can toggle it in any overlay. But the important note is that it's a global state. It's either everything locked or nothing is. One more note is that as soon as you close the application, so if I close up Racelab, everything will disappear, my relative, my standings, my Racelab as well. And if I were to open it back, everything should reopen after the initial load. As you can see, my relative and my standings are right here, and the application is in a locked state. Every time when you start Racelab, it will automatically lock the overlays for you. If you had any overlays open before you close the application, the next time you start Racelab, it will open up all your overlays that were open before and set it to a locked mode, so that you won't have problems clicking through your windows and your overlays. It will just work. One of the easy ways to toggle the lock mode is a key combination. It's Ctrl Shift and L. If I press it, you see that everything is now unlocked. If I press it again, it is locked again. And if you want to close one of your overlays, the easiest way probably is to unlock the overlays. Go right click on the overlay and choose close. Right click on the overlay, choose close, and off you go. Lastly, let's talk about features that we see on the bottom of these overlay button. Let me open up the relative overlay, and then let's talk about the first one. So first one, if I hover my mouse, it says reset overlay positions to defaults. Now, sometimes people might have problem that they don't see their overlays. Apparently, for some reason, they stop seeing the overlay, although it's open. They can see it in the taskbar. It shows up there, but they don't see it on the screen. It could be because of many different problems I won't get into. It's regarding multiple screens and the way you turn them on and off dynamically. Doesn't really matter. If you have a problem not seeing your overlay, you can try this. You click on the reset button, and then your overlay will reset its default position. So if I reopen this overlay, I will get it on my top left screen, which you guys don't see it now, but it showed up on my top left screen, so I need to move it in again, and that's the easy way to fix it. Let's look at the next one, which is this button. It says open in browser, and this one is usually for VR users. If you can't use the built-in VR support, then you can still open it up with a minimalized browser window. It's essentially a browser window, but as minimum as possible, and then you can use a third-party application to show that window in your VR. So if I click on this, it will pop up a small browser window, as you can see, and all I have is a really tiny address bar and the operational buttons, but that's all. And then you can use this in your VR using a third-party application. Nowadays I think almost no one is using this kind of way, because there's always a solution to use our built-in VR support, which I will talk a bit later. Let's close this up. The next feature we're going to talk about, and the next button, is enable and disable VR mode. Now we have a completely dedicated video about how to use our VR integration and how to move the overlays around inside your VR, but to put it in short, we do have a VR integration support for our application, meaning if you have a VR and if you're playing iracing in VR, there's a high chance you are able to use our overlays inside your headset, which is sort of like a HUD experience. You have the overlays inside your headset and you are able to position them anywhere you want to, scale up and down, move it away or towards you. It's really a native and a really easy user experience, the way you need to deal with it. For more, please check out the video. I'll link the video link in the description below. And I'm only going to show now how to activate it and how to use it. First, you need to open it in an overlay mode. So I click on the overlay mode, I get the overlay onto my screen, and then you just need to press this VR button, which is enabling or disabling the VR mode. Now when I press this button, you will see that the overlay shape and the look will change a bit, and this is because we are optimizing all the overlays that you want to show in your VR for the VR. So we need to do some optimizations, and that's why it looks like that. So have a look at the overlay. I'm going to activate it now. As you can see, it basically got darker, the corners got a bit more squared, and we do a couple of other things, but the bottom line is now at this point the overlay should show up in your VR. And if you want to show one more overlay in your VR, then you just go to the next one, you open it up, and then there you go. And then you should see these two overlays in your VR. One important note is that you cannot have overlays on top of each other, because then in VR you will only see one if you do this. So it's very important that when you start opening up overlays in VR mode, please make sure that they are not on top of each other. And the last one is a QR code icon, which says generate a QR code that you can use to load the overlay in other devices. We do have a separate video for this feature as well, explaining everything about it. Again, to put it in short, if you want to show an overlay on your mobile, then you can actually do it. All you need to make sure is you join to the same network in your home. So if you join to your Wi-Fi, that usually makes it. And you just click on this, it generates a QR code for you, and then you grab your phone, you scan it, and the overlay will show up on your mobile or tablet or whatever device you use. So now you know everything about how to open the overlays, what are all these small buttons do, and in general how to use Racelab with iracing. If you have any questions, please make sure you comment in the comment section below. Give us a like if you like what we do. It really helps spreading the video on YouTube in this community, and also subscribe if you want to see new features coming up, and see you with the next video.